about this? All right. Great song. Use me, use me, use me, because the Spirit of the living God is in me. So the totality of what God is needs you to show up as God, or something is lacking. God needs us to shine our light into the world. This is the time that we need to do it. We've been doing it every day, but this is a real wake-up call. Because I don't want to make light of the situation. I like to joke about everything, but it's really hard to joke about the seriousness of the intense fear that's going on because of one disease. And there's lots and lots and lots of diseases and wars and famine and people starving. There's almost 6 million families that have food insecurity, intense food insecurity. There is starvation in this country. There's children living on the street. There's a lot of things that we need to pay attention to, and we just don't. And so maybe this is getting our attention. Maybe this one virus, because you don't know where it is or who you can get it from, and anybody can contract it, and all of that, it's bringing up a focus that perhaps I need to turn my attention to solving this once and for all. So let's identify the problem today, okay, guys? And let's identify the solution. I really want to identify where I find myself. I think I find myself in a body, in a world, where people can get sick and die. Now, where's God in that? I don't know. Where's God in that equation? That's a really simple answer. God has to be right here in my mind. But what I've done is pushed that out of my mind. The perfection of the universe, the connection of all living things, the intense eternal love that surrounds me and holds me safe. I've pushed that out of my mind when I'm focused on what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to this body. Maybe I could actually hurt all the other bodies too. That's the thing that gets me, is I had a decision to make whether to gather here today or not. Because one side of the argument is if people gather together, they can infect one another because we don't know who has this virus. And so that's a fear of what if and what can go wrong. And I'm really with Wes about decide to protect yourself, decide to be safe, decide that you're going to be well, and decide if any sickness comes upon your body that you can just push it out with the light. You can be healed. And that's exactly what's going to happen, is that you will be healed of this idea today that you're limited. This idea that you are at the mercy of forces outside of you. No, you're in control of yourself and what you tell yourself and what you teach yourself and what you put in your mind. That song, why I was so excited about singing that song this morning, is it's called Pure Possibility. You are pure possibility. And so you're like a blank slate. You're like a canvas that hasn't been painted on. And so you're painting on that canvas with your thoughts, with your words, with your conversations, with what you watch on TV, with the movies you watch, with the music that you listen to, with the books that you read, with the food that you put into your system, with what you take in and ingest. All of those things are what you're programming this body with, this physical mind-body person, consciousness, individual consciousness. And we were placed here really to be the light of God in action. And so today I want to talk about how powerful it is to affirm the truth. We have a Thursday night group where we gather in affirmative prayer. And two things that we do. The first thing is we introduce ourselves. And I might say something like, I am Tony. I am a radiating center of God's love and light in this world. How often do you say that? about yourself? Do you look in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm a radiating center of God's love and light? That's what I want you to do in the morning. I don't want you to start by turning on your phone or turning on your iPad or your laptop or your TV. I want you to start by meditating and telling yourself, by looking in the mirror, I am a radiating center of God's healing light and love. Or whatever comes to your mind. But affirm the truth about yourself. Start your day that way. Claim a blessing right away. Before you even get out of bed, start claiming the good that's coming to you today. And that's how I've gotten myself out of fear when I fall into fear. And I'm not saying it doesn't creep in, because I want to be informed. I want to know what's going on. So I do check out the news every now and then. But I check out how it's ramping up the fear rather than dissipating it by being honest, being focused, and focusing on the healing and the ending of the separation. Focusing on coming together, it's actually saying, no, you need to be isolated and separate. Do you know what the Course in Miracles definition of sickness is? Isolation. Incredible. So the world's remedy is isolation. And it might work, you need to quarantine your body if it's carrying around some crazy virus. That's a good idea. But the isolation of your mind does not have to occur. Stay in contact with one another and affirm the truth. The thing is, a lot of us are broadcasting into our homes the fearful ideas that are making us sick. And it's the mind that is sick. It's very obvious to me. One person wrote me the other day and said she was so grateful for our online Course in Miracles class because she was certain she had that virus. She felt a little sore throat. Now I'm coughing. Oh, I've got a fever maybe. I'm a little hot, whatever it might be. And she was like, I've got it. Right? And then she employed what I call the best remedy of all, affirming the truth. She took the Course in Miracles lesson and affirmed, there is no will but God's. I am whole and perfect. I am healed. I am free. There is no will but God's, and I share that will with God. So that I will myself to be whole and perfect, healed and free. And you know what? She woke up and she goes, wow, I'm whole and perfect. I feel great. All that was going on because of the fear. You were creating that. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't approach healing of the body in a very logical manner. If you're sick, go to the doctor or employ your holistic health practice, which is what I would do. I might call John up and say, John, what should I do here? You got some thieves oil for me? Or, that's a great thing to put on your hands, right? But anyway, I'm digressing. What I really want to say is that the medicine is affirming the truth. The true cure for all of this is at-one-ment, atonement, recognizing, experiencing our oneness with all things and not separating from them. I have 4 pages of notes. I'm sorry. I am going to apologize right up front because I just got so fired up about this message. And somebody said, well, nobody's going to be there tomorrow. And I said, that's okay. I'll be there. I need to hear it. And Jack and Ori will be there. And probably Lily, because she's riding with me. And Wes said he'd come because he wrote this incredible meditation, which I want to copy. And if we want copies, can you email them to people? Anybody who wants a copy of that meditation, please ask Wes. He'll email it to you because it's really speaking the truth. Expect to be safe. Expect to be healthy. Expect to be healed. And shine your light of love on all those around you who are living in fear of suffering illness. Help those you can. Bless those that you can't reach. Always remember the power of God protects you and the presence of God watches over you. Always remember that. It's not just something we say at the end of each service. It's really something that we can practice. That's why I love unity, because these spiritual principles is something that I can practice. I can take it and perform that in my daily life. So incredibly happy about that, because now I can employ the healing mechanism in my life. You know, a lot of times when things are uncertain and challenging, we let our emotions be carried away by thoughts of fear and doubt. But there is a proven way to bring us back. And I see you came back so fast. Thank you for doing that. And that's affirming the truth, praying in an affirmative manner. I got a lot of calls this week. A lot of people are afraid of a lot of things in a lot of different levels, trying to figure out. And finally, all I could say is at the end of every conversation, would you like to pray with me? Could we affirm the truth now together? And it always brought us into an environment of healing, an atmosphere of peace, of certainty. It's going to a place in my heart that's below my conscious mind, into where I've stored up the subconscious memory that was given me by God, by my superconscious mind, by universal mind. It's stored there. And you can access it through prayer. Charles Fillmore wants us to keep a true Lent. And if you never took a look at this book, it is completely amazing. And it goes way over a lot of people's heads. That's why you probably need to do a couple classes in order to really get what he's saying. But he has a chapter in here called The Affirmative Word, chapter 10 in Keep a True Lent. Christian metaphysicians have discovered that metaphysicians, sorry. What did I say? Metaphysicians. I made up a word. Metaphysicians. I'll make you metaphysicians of men. Metaphysicians have discovered that man can greatly accelerate the formation of the Christ mind in himself by using affirmations that identify him with the Christ. We're affirming our true nature. And Christian metaphysicians have discovered this because they've just been practicing it. First, to get in your mind that the formation of your consciousness is evolving, that it's not stagnant, that you don't have to stay where you are. That's a good beginning point, that we're growing, that we're evolving, that we are emerging Christs, that we are emerging into our full potential of our spiritual nature. The Buddhists call it Buddha nature, but it's the same thing. It's your inherent goodness and power. And so, the affirmation of any good statement of truth puts us in conscious contact with the Christ mind. The affirmation of any good statement of truth. That's why we start out with, I am the healing power in this world. I am a radiating center of God's love and light. And then the next thing we do is I affirm the truth. And then we fill it in. And for me, it's a lot more beneficial than just reading it in a book and then repeating it verbatim over and over again. No, it comes from your heart and your mind. And so Charles says that's great because any good statement of truth puts us in conscious contact with the Christ mind, and it quickens and releases the light and energy stored up in the subconscious mind, and then the process of redemption or healing begins. The process of redemption of healing, of regeneration of the body, of boosting your immune system from within. And so any good affirmation of truth is going to release the light in you, and it's going to boost the Christ energy in you, and it's going to really manifest in your reality, in your body condition, in your physical reality. Keep affirming the truth. And so we will just go around and affirm the truth to one another. First, we're affirming the truth of what we are, and then we're affirming the truth of God's reality in us and in the world. And not only that, we're taking that step that by affirming it, by acting upon these truths, that we are manifesting, we have a vision of a world powerfully transformed by the growing movement of our spiritual awakening. We are living in that world. We are living in that world, you and me. And so it's interesting because Charles, he covered all the bases in that chapter. It's a great thing to look at because he says, no, not to the novice. These claims seem incredible. They seem unbelievable. They don't seem attainable. But if you practice affirming the truth, you will attain an experience for yourself that will show you that it's true. And that's the point. You have to experience it yourself. You can't take my word for it, although my word is pretty good because I've been having a lot of experiences in my life of practicing affirming the truth and have it manifest in my life. We used to call them miracles, and now we just call them natural expressions of the truth that I hold in my mind. How about that? Let's hold that truth in our minds because the natural expression of it's going to be perfect health, financial freedom, loving relationships that work all the time, and a true peace that nothing can ever break or can be taken away from us. That peace, once you've reached a place of peace, you can always go there. No matter what's going on, no matter how fearful the world becomes, you can always go to that place of peace. That's eternal. That doesn't go away because you found yourself for a moment in heaven. And you realize, in truth, you never left. And I affirm the truth that only heaven is real. That's our one reality. Heaven and the Christ mind. That's our reality. So I want to read a little bit more about affirming the truth. This is a wonderful book by Linda Martella Whitsett, who is now the director of Silent Unity. And it's a book called How to Pray Without Talking to God. Isn't that a great idea? No, everybody's scared. Ah! Yeah, what? Because you're creating a being that you're talking to. This is affirming the truth from the God being within you. Isn't that cool? Because who knows what that being out there is going to tell me? It changes all the time. Depends on what church you go to. So this is incredible because it takes spiritual principle and it takes the idea of God being absolute good and places it squarely where it should be, within your own consciousness. Now, I always say within us and all around us, because Charles also talked about the fourth dimension, which is the space between things. That's God too. Wow. Pretty soon I start experiencing that God is everywhere and in everyone and in all things. Oh, that makes me feel really good. So there's no space between me and God. So how could I have a conversation with something out there when He's closer to me than my own heartbeat? He's closer to me than my own breath. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't affirm words of truth. All I'm saying is that we need to have a more expanded experience of what God is. And how I have learned in the last 4 or 5 years very deeply, studying so much with unity, is that how we activate the God within primarily is through affirming the truth. So what Linda says here in her book about affirmation, she quotes Charles Fillmore again from the atom-smashing power of mind. Eloquent proclamations of spiritual truth release millions of electrons in our brain cells and through them blend like chords of mental music with the mind universal. Wow, I'm going to read that again because I think Wes likes this. Eloquent proclamations of spiritual truth release the millions of electrons in our brain cells and through them blend like chords of mental music that are in harmony with the mind universal. Wow. Mental music. Yeah, wow. All the brain cells are playing in there. They're like the Italians. They're singing to each other. That's going to heal the nation. They're singing. Now, all of these brain cells are activated through eloquent proclamations of the truth. I'm talking to myself. I'm actually programming my brain how it is seeing the world, how it's responding to the world, how it's showing up in this physical body, all of those things. And so there's been a great discovery that started with Myrtle Fillmore. And that discovery has kind of been, in modern age, lost because it's a discovery of how we can heal our bodies with our minds. And I have to tell you a funny story about this. When I first became a spiritual healer, 25, 30 years ago, I began really excited about spiritual healing and energy healing and all of those things. And my mom had a friend, and she was a smoker, and she had health problems. And I said, I'll offer you my services for free. I can give you some healing. Let's set up an appointment. And she says, oh, I don't need healing. I have insurance. Why do I need healing? If I get sick, my insurance will pay for it. I'm like, so she's already visualizing herself getting older, getting sicker, and going to the doctor or being in the nursing home, and she's not worried about it. Why? Because she can pay for it. Holy mackerel. Isn't that amazing? And it's sad but true. A lot of people can't even afford the insurance now. They can't afford insurance or the doctors or medicine. I was taking care of my mom for a long time, and the medications that she was on were so expensive, and it took so long talking with the insurance companies to work out. She was like on 9 different medications. And what a great lesson in acceptance and non-resistance and letting go and just being a part of that world for a moment. But I could see that the world of healthcare was not based on healing, but based on profit. Like it didn't really care about my mom as long as she could pay for those medications. So it was a very interesting thing that I ran into there. And I thought to myself, what if all the healing professions were acknowledged as a way to bring healing and harmony to our lives? We need to acknowledge that in one another, because a lot of us are healers and a lot of us are struggling to make a living in the modern age. And I really feel like the answer really lies there, because these are the folks who are willing to employ the truth, affirming the truth in their practice. And I'm not against the medical establishment at all, but I'm really feeling like the people who work within it need to start affirming the truth. They need to start caring for people again and having compassion and showing a real love for each other. And I don't want to get way off on this, but I want to bring it back to that our health really depends on how we are seeing ourselves. Because if we say, I don't need healing, I have insurance, then where are you right now? You're visualizing your demise. You're visualizing, that was an incredible statement to me. And I thought about it for a long time. I laughed, and everybody laughs when I say it, but I've thought about it for a long time. And that's kind of the mindset that we have gotten into in our world today, is that we don't seek the truth, we just seek a temporary remedy. If we seek the truth, we're seeking a cure for all time. I am happy, healed, whole, and free. Woohoo! That's where it's at. Insurance can't give you that. And if you're not happy, healthy, whole, and free right now, when are you going to be? So let's decide to do it now. Let's decide. I'm hoping I'm not offending anyone. I just want to get us on track. Get us back to we're one with everything. And we are happy, healthy, healed, and whole when we acknowledge that we are one with everything and everyone. And God is in everything. And so I started out, this was a long tirade because I wanted to express to you that you can heal yourself. I wanted to express to you this great discovery from Myrtle Fillmore from the 1890s, who was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and they didn't give her very long to live. And she grew up with a lot of ideas about herself, and those ideas changed. And that's all I'm saying. I don't want anybody to feel guilty for the ideas that they have now. But I want to tell you those ideas can change, and oftentimes do. And so let's take on some true ideas. Can I tell you her story a little bit? This is going to be our next book for the book club, The Story of Unity. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you a little about her story from this book. Well, there's a lot here. So I'm going to try to pick out the parts and weave them together for you. I won't tell you the whole story. But what happened with Myrtle is she went to a lecture with her husband by a man named E.B. Weeks. And he said a statement, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Now this sickness that she apparently had in her body, they said she inherited it. So this really stuck in her mind. I am a child of God, and therefore I don't inherit sickness. And so there must be something that I can do to teach myself and my body a new idea. So this is what she did. She made a discovery. I want to start from the beginning. I have made, says Myrtle, what seems to me a discovery. I was fearfully sick. I had all the ills of mind and body that I could bear. Medicine and doctors ceased to give me relief, and I was in despair when I found practical Christianity. I took it up and I was healed. I did most of the healing myself because I wanted the understanding for future use. This is how I made what I call my discovery. I was thinking about life. Life is everywhere, in the worm and in man and everything. And so what makes this life, she said. I'm going to go a little further down. Here's the key to my discovery. Life has to be guided by intelligence in making all its forms. The same law works in my own body. Life is simply a form of energy. It has to be guided and directed in a person's body by their intelligence. So how do we communicate intelligence? By talking and thinking. And of course, then it flashed upon me that I might talk to the life in every part of my body. And I'll have it do just what I wanted it to do. I began to teach my body, and I got marvelous results. I told the life in my liver it was not torpid or inert, but full of vigor and energy. I told the life in my stomach it was not weak or inefficient, but energetic, strong, and intelligent. And she went on and talked to each part of her body, telling it with her mind the truth, even if it wasn't showing up at that time. Quite often you start these things when it's not showing up, when your body's feeling sick, when you're feeling something going on there and you're fearful and dark. That's when you have to start doing it. Of course, you say, well, I'm not feeling like it's whole and perfect right now, but that's the time you need to tell it it's whole and perfect. And remember, the healing power is there. When you start to talk to those parts of your body, they will respond because they have the intelligence of God in them. Everything has the intelligence of God in it. And so she went to all the life centers. I went to all the life centers of my body and spoke words of truth to them, words of strength and power. I asked their forgiveness for the foolish, ignorant course that I had pursued in the past, and that when I condemned them and called them weak, inefficient, and diseased. I did not become discouraged at their being slow to wake up, but kept right on, both silently and aloud, declaring the words of truth until those organs responded. And neither did I forget to tell them that they were free, unlimited spirit. I told them that they were no longer in bondage to the carnal mind, and they were not corruptible flesh, but centers of life and energy omnipresent. I love it. Isn't this incredible? One more thing. She says, I did not let any worried or anxious thoughts into my mind. I stopped speaking gossipy, frivolous, petulant, angry words. I let a little prayer go up every hour that Jesus the Christ would be with me and help me to think and speak only kind, loving, and true words. And I am sure that He is with me because I am so peaceful and happy now. I want everybody to know about this beautiful, true law and to use it. It is not a new discovery, but when you use it and you get the fruits of health and harmony, it will seem new to you, and you will feel like it's your own discovery. So I want you guys to do that. Wow, let's do it. Let's do it now, because this is the time where we're told to get away from everybody for a couple of weeks. We're not going to be watching the Celtics. We're not going to be watching the Masters. We're not going to be getting ready for the Boston Marathon. So come on, guys. Let's get ready for health and wholeness and a world powerfully transformed by the growing movement of our spiritual awakening. Let's speak the truth to our bodies and to each other and see what happens when we affirm the truth. Be blessed, my friends. Be healed, happy, and whole, and be a blessing. We love you so very much. We'll still see you next week, but online. All right? Thank you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.